Welcome to a special edition of the DGD podcast. Not going to be your typical live show, throwing a curveball for everybody. With me, I have 2023 UGA target, big, and I mean big, recruit, uh, Jamaal Grimsley product. Jamaal, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, not a problem. Obviously, listen, if most people are in Georgia, things like that, Jamaal's been on the radar for Georgia for a little bit of time, But the funny thing was, it really was a picture with Jordan Davis that really took, your recruitment and I guess you could say awareness with Georgia fans and skyrocketed at that point. So I want to get
Yes,
your
sir.
first question here. What was it like? First off, taking a picture with Jordan Davis, but did you expect the reaction from the Georgia fans when you posted that pic?
Well, just meeting Jordan Davis was a pretty great experience. We talked for about a good 5 minutes. This was at the national championship parade, so we talked for a small amount of time before he had to leave. It was pretty cool. He just told me to keep my head up, keep working, and just work on staying low and stuff. And as far as like him coming out of the Carolinas and stuff, he was just like go down your own path or just make something new, be better than what he was, of course. But like just getting a picture of him was awesome. Just seeing him like the big impact that he has on the Georgia fan base and everything, it's just great. Getting a picture with him was awesome, and I kind of expected it like the picture to blow up because like we were neck and neck with each other, but
Yeah.
it was crazy, man.
Yeah, it's funny. It's really funny how that works out because, for me, we've talked for months now at this point, but kind of looking back, kind of first talking out to you, I looking at doing some research initially, right? And I'm sitting here like, okay, Grimsley last year, everybody's all on Travis Shaw, right? And obviously when he committed to North Carolina, he didn't start the season last season, with an off-season injury. So when he goes, he's out first few games, things like that. I remember the Reagan game, right? The forced fumble, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you know
Yes,
that
sir.
exact play. All right, so I'm
Yes,
sitting
sir.
there like, okay, so they won. Grimsley won. Grimsley won. Like, okay, I do more research. Was that? Listen, that Reagan game. For those that are not understanding North Carolina football, both four Grimsley and Reagan. Reagan's got what? Sam Pendleton. You're looking at a top
Yes, sir.
250 player easily. Offensive line target. In my opinion, probably going to Clemson, but getting courted by a ton of programs as well. And so you're not seeing a lack of talent there at the in 4A here in Greens or in the Greensboro triad area 4A wise. Forced fumble, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, and I kind of did some digging. I was like, who's 55? Who's like, dude is huge. I was like, what's going on here? Like, I'm like, everybody's talking about Shaw, but like, he's not here. And I'm just like, what in the world? So I've started to like, look through the roster. I'm like, all right, Jamaal, Jarrett, whatever. I'm gonna look him up. You already had a Georgia offer at the time. I'm like, no shit. Like, why didn't I know this? Like, why didn't I
Yes,
know
sir.
this? So that was when I sat there and obviously started looking at the tape, and I was like, holy shit, man, this guy, it reminds me of Jordan Davis. Like, the
Yes, sir.
similarities are not even just like, non-football related, right? You're looking at, current three-star, right? We talked about the rankings, right? We'll talk a little bit
Yes,
about that
sir.
in a second. But anyways, current three-star, both from North Carolina, same measurables, right? Same measurables. 40 time questionable there, right? The 4.78 is ridiculous, but
Yes,
but I'm
sir.
sitting there like, okay, so this, and then I watched the play style, and I'm like, no shit. Like I see why Georgia's after him. Like it makes too much sense to me. And to me, my initial film observation was, you're a space eater, right? You're a space eater, and sometimes the stats don't lie, right? So sometimes the stats can be deceiving
Yes, sir.
because while I've seen you make plays, I've seen you pursuit, I've seen all these things. That's what sticks out to me more so than stats because you fit that Jordan Davis type of mold. So from that point, I understand why you're looking at Georgia, Bama, right, the big time schools, and I understand why the mutual interest there, right. So I was sitting there, and at that point, I was like, okay, got it. I was at that point, I was just sold, just completely sold.
Yes, sir.
But with that being said, you're talking about the national title visit, right? What was that experience like? Because From a fan standpoint, look, it's been 41 years. 41 years. That's beyond my lifetime. With you being there, right, with 41 years of pent up frustration getting unleashed in a celebratory mode, what was that like for somebody that wasn't there personally?
Yeah, it was great. The 97,000 fans showed love to me. They treated us like we were the players. We were on the bus in the parade, and fans shaking the bus, fans screaming, getting hyped for the recruits. It just showed me like being my first. That was my first time being at Georgia.
Yep.
It just showed me like the love from the fans and stuff, and of course the coaches and everything showed love. We were able to meet the players, sit down with the players, eat with the players. It was just a great experience for my first time being at Georgia.
And I mean, I figured that would be a ideal spot to at least the timing per se to get down to Athens. Now, with that being said, from a Georgia perspective, and I want to break out a little bit here, but I do want to touch one thing Georgia related, and then we'll open it back up. So if I'm not mistaken, Coach Scott is your primary, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what's that relationship like? Because in my opinion, from a fan standpoint, I feel like relationships matter a ton. What is Coach Scott like? What's y'all's like? I'm assuming it's a good relationship, but like, what sticks out from that relationship with you and Coach Scott in a good way or whatever way?
Well, me and Coach Scott, we got that vibe. So like every time we're on the phone, it's just mad chill. He gives me tips to help my game. We talk about life. He's a big family guy, so just meeting his family on my last visit was awesome. It was just pretty cool. Coach Scott's a really cool, down to earth guy, and he's all about getting you better. If he really wants you, he shows he shows how much he wants you, man. He calls
I
you
can
like
only
it's a
imagine
lot.
so, man. Yeah, I can only imagine so. Now, I do have this right here. So, obviously you got Georgia offer, and really your offer list is just blown up, right? And it's not these little, for a 3-star. Listen, for people that understand, people that focus 100% on rankings, stop playing yourself. Really, just
Exactly.
stop playing yourself. Really, let's be honest. Yeah, I can go on a Reynolds rant per se. I'm not going to do that right now. We're here to talk about you, but nonetheless, right? You're looking at teams like Bama, LSU, Clemson just offered you, if I'm not mistaken, most recent offer there. Obviously Georgia. So you're looking at, and obviously, listen, don't count out the in-state schools. Folks listening in Georgia, NC State, North Carolina, they trying to lock down the state too. Okay,
Yes, sir.
just saying, just saying. So I want to ask you this right fast. When you're
Yes, sir.
looking from your recruitment standpoint, what are you looking for out of a school that you could potentially call home for the next 3 to 4 years?
So like big like I really I'm still thinking if I should stay home or not. So as far as my recruiting, the area is not really that big of important for me. Like as long as I have a great base, a great like relationship with everybody, great like I don't know how to say social life around the school. I should be able to go to a library or go to the mall or something in the area. But it's really just the academics and the campus for me, and that home field relationship with the coaches. That's all I'm really looking for in the school. As long as I can feel home and be able to
Yeah.
do things, that's pretty much it.
No, I know. Obviously, I think it's a big deal, right? You're being 17, 16, 17 years old. A lot of people don't realize how much pressure this decision is. Right? So there's
Yes,
a
sir.
lot of things that people have to factor in. And honestly, looking at where you are right now, sometimes people just don't understand. Like there's a balance of having to enjoy your childhood in a sense,
Yes, sir.
enjoying high school, but also making a business decision, right?
Yes, sir.
And from my standpoint, I never was in the situation to do so, but nonetheless, you know, so when it's a big deal. So all these things factor in, and a lot of these schools offer, the same, I guess you could say the same concepts, right? Whether it be facilities, right? Factors, things
Yes,
like
sir.
that. So obviously I think it's a big deal for your family, right? Your family wants to be able to make sure you're comfortable as well. And I know recently when you visited, you had your family come down to Georgia as well. What were their takeaways, from that visit, right? I feel like it was probably a good one, especially with the coaching staff. They do a real good
Yes,
job
sir.
at, making everyone welcome. What, walk me through what that was like.
Man, it was crazy. As soon as we got there, as soon as we pulled up to Georgia, they had us pull up in the middle of the practice field, and the whole coaching staff, recruiting coordinators, everybody circled around the car and just
Yeah.
showed us love and started the tour. It was just amazing. My parents loved it. My little sister loved it. It was a great experience, and they can't wait to come back.
Yeah, that's, and I know obviously as you go on official visits and things like that, your family's going to get to go. Unofficial. Listen, if you're not familiar with it, people expect I don't think people really understand the cost of an unofficial visit, right? You're doing this
Yeah,
on your own dime, right? So it's wild to see people take unofficial visits across country and things like that.
yes, sir.
So obviously with those official visits, it's going to be you know, no, it's not on your dime, right? So the family can come and they gonna throw out the red carpet to begin with. You know that. Like I
Yes,
think
sir.
everybody should know on an official, it's 100% ready to go. But I want to talk to you about Grimsley and right now for a little bit. I want to talk to Grimsley this upcoming season, right? Your senior season. What are you looking forward to most for the senior season? Your senior season coming up. What are you looking forward to the most for this? Before making your college decision and going from there.
Well, I just want to work on becoming a better leader for my team. Just help, some of the freshmen. We have a lot of excuse me. We have a lot of young dudes coming in that are really good, and they're going to be in the same recruiting process as me. So I'm just trying to mentor them and help them understand the process and everything. Because I didn't have that starting my process, so I was kind of going into everything new. So I'm just glad to help and just become a leader, and going into the senior season, you know, I just want to work on like my recruitment and stuff. Like I want to keep it not too high, not too low, and just focus on the season. As far as commitment dates and stuff, I'm gonna leave all that in the future and just focus on the team, focus on the season.
It's a good outlook to have. I know, obviously, losing Travis, losing Tamori, things like that. People want to look at Grimsley and be like, "Oh, okay, Grimsley's going to be back in the hunt for a deep playoff run." It's just going to happen that way. And obviously with you, Bryce, Andre, right, Nate on the D line right there. Listen, y'all are in good hands. Y'all are in good hands.
Yes, sir.
As a Coach Rigsby, Coach Phil, for another playoff run. Faring better than what I last year, right? I think it was a second round loss. Um, I expect y'all to do, go farther than that.
Yes, sir.
With so I guess is there any timeline that a Georgia fan or a Bama fan or whoever, what's the timeline looking like? Are you looking at like setting any top five, top eight, anything soon? I think you got a top eight right now. So I'm assuming you're probably going to be cutting it down. Is there any timeline? Or are you just going to just when it comes, it comes?
Well, I'm working with my editor right now, so I'm aiming for any time before May 1st or May 1st itself. So
Okay.
just stay tuned. It's coming soon, man.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how in a few days, next thing you know that the day turns into weeks, just like trickles down, and next thing you know you're playing as a freshman wherever. It's wild to believe
Yes,
that.
sir.
So I want to end it here. So obviously you talked a little bit about your recruitment. I want to ask you here one more question. If you're a Georgia, from a Georgia's perspective, Athens is homey feeling, right? And I think you've reiterated that. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
could you see yourself playing like between the hedges? Like what would you think if you go out to G Day? Because G Day is still fresh on Georgia's mind, right? Georgia fans' mind just coming Saturday. Could you picture yourself doing a G Day, like actually playing between the hedges on a G Day? What would that be like?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was just talking to Nazir Stackhouse and Warren. I was just talking to a lot of players and Michael Williams, Big Bear, Alexander. Like I was just talking to them. They said they loved it. I could see myself doing it because when I was at my last visit, my most previous visit, I was watching them practice, and I was like, yeah, I could be here. I could be doing this. So just seeing them play on TV and stuff, and just hearing their input and back, about like how how it was, how it felt when they were playing. It was just great. It was great
Yeah.
for me to hear. I could see myself doing it, and just seeing them practice as well. They treat everything like an NFL practice, which I had mad respect for.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know you saw it firsthand. I know we're hearing about it. It seems to be that way, right? I think you look at the programs like Georgia and Alabama. It's
Yes, sir.
NFL. It's NFL ready. So
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you know exactly what you need to see from that. Before we wrap it up, man, I want to give you a second to to tell the folks where they can find you. Listen, do yourself a favor. If you haven't watched this man's tape, do so.
Yes,
Just
sir.
do it. Just do it. But where can people find you, man? If they're interested in following you on social media.
So Twitter, Jamaal Jarrett, JamAlJaljARRETT. And Instagram is the Jaw Jarrett. So just hook me up, guys, and I'll follow back. I'll do my best to follow back. I have a lot of notifications, so just be patient with me.
Yeah, you're a hard man to listen, you're a coveted man. Okay.
Yes,
That's
sir.
the way it is. That's what happens when you're a coveted man like that.
Yes, sir.
Listen, so if you didn't catch that on the show notes, I will put his social media links up there for you to find. Give him a follow. Like you said, be patient if you do follow. Listen, Dog Nation, go show my man Jamaal Jarrett some love. With that being said, Ja, thanks again for coming on. It was a
Yes,
pleasure
sir.
talking
Thanks
to
for
you.
having me. Yes, sir.
Man, now it's time to enjoy the day, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Have a good one, guys. Hey, make sure to like and subscribe as well. YouTube.com/the DGD podcast. With that being said, this is Robert Reynolds. I'll catch you on the next side.